guys, it's Heather here, and today I have another tutorial of part of the DIY embellishment videos. And I'm sorry the view is back too short again because I repackaged up my large tripod for university so I can make videos there. And today's video is going to be on how to make these plastic embellishments. And these are actually charms I made a whole long time ago. It's actually a huge collection of the fairy tale keys. I also have some silver ones, but it doesn't really look silver on camera or in real life, even though I use metallic markers. So that's a tip for the future. So the materials you will need are actually printer paper, and this is only optional. You can always draw right on top of the shrink-eating paper, which is the second material you need. You also need a ruler, but I don't have one with me at the moment, and a Sharpie or some black permanent marker. Make sure it's permanent marker. I used a fine liner and it wasn't permanent, and it just smeared all across my hands and the whole image, so make sure it's permanent. And if you have any other permanent markers to color with, I think it's a lot more pigmented and pretty. I don't have those with me, so I have a set of just Royal Lancaster color pencils and a case of like these cheapy Rose Art color pencils that I will be using, and a pencil. So the very first step that you need to do is to either draw your design on the shrink-eating with paper, with pencil first, or draw on a piece of paper. I like to draw on a piece of paper beforehand because when you erase on shrink-eating paper, it can leave smears, and just in the end the design won't be as like beautiful. So I'm just gonna put a folder underneath so I can have a good surface to work with, and then I will actually see if I can lower you guys even a bit more so you can see the designs more. Today I'm just going to go with something more basic, like geometric shapes. And what you have to keep in mind is if you decide to do any type of wording like I have down here, or something that needs to be face up in a certain way like the ampersand, you will need to draw it first, then flip it over and go towards the window and retrace it in the opposite side, because when you shrink it, only the shiny side is the finished side. You can always glue it on the matte side, but I prefer the shiny side since it looks more finished and it's not as flaky as the other side. So just get the design you would like and place your paper on top. I'm going to do the bow for this tutorial, or the I'm just going to use the ampersand since it's already flipped on the back. Now I'm going to place it on whatever I have left of my shrink-eating paper. And I'm going to take my Sharpie and just outline the image that I've drawn. There are actually different types of shrink-eating paper. I bought the what's it called? The rough and ready side, where one side is like textured by sandpaper so that you can use other mediums other than markers on it, such as color pencils, and after you bake it, it's clear. Whatever you leave white is actually clear. And sometimes I do glaze the back and it won't be that frosty look anymore, but a clear finish, so it looks completely like you're holding a piece of clear plastic. That's like the best I can describe it. I'm actually going to color it in now, and I'm going to go with red. Why not? So I'm going to take this off so you guys can see it, and then I'm just going to talk about the different types of shrinky dink paper. There's also like one where it's completely clear and you want to use things such as color pencil like I'm doing now. Then you have to use sandpaper to sand it down, and the reason why is because the particles from the color pencil cannot catch on any surface, so it just won't have any pigment, and the only thing that works on that is permanent marker. There's also some that's actually like white, so whatever you leave white is actually white. I actually want to try that one next because I don't know if the colors will come out more vibrant and not as transparent as the clear ones, but I guess the effect is kind of cool too. So I finished coloring the piece, and I forgot to mention, it kind of looks messy right now, but it's actually going to be a lot more polished after you bake it. And I forgot to mention that this is actually not the size that it's going to end up being in the end. It's kind of obvious because it's shrinky dink paper. So this is actually drawn to a 2-inch scale, and that will go down to about this size. And in comparison, it's about the size of a quarter. So 2 inches down to a quarter. And I like to use this chart to just do my pictures. I know most people just eyeball it and says whatever it is, it's just gonna end up being a fourth of what it used to be, but I like being technical with the chart. So I'm just gonna do a speed through video of me just filling up this whole sheet because it's already half used and I just want to get rid of it. So I'm going to just do that, bake them, and then have an end result at the very end. So I finished tracing my designs onto the shrinky dink paper. I was actually going to do a speed up of me actually drawing these, but I thought it was going to be quite boring, so here's just the finished piece. Actually, when I was looking for my ruler, I found a whole bunch of these scraps because I have a little scrap box, and usually I end up throwing trash in there, and then I was like, okay, I'll clean it later, but I didn't, and I found these tiny pieces, and I did manage to finish like fit a couple of those geometric shapes on there, and I thought that it would be cool to try to experiment with the tiny shapes and see how small they would get. I actually tried before and I actually packed it up, but this piece was actually made with a scrap piece, and it's very tiny, if you can tell. I will put it next to a ruler. It is about 1 centimeter big, and they came from like something the size of maybe this heart. So I thought it would be cool to make little tiny embellishments from that. I also tried doing like bobby pins, and it's very skinny and all, but I try to make it longer so maybe it'll come out to a pretty awesome embellishment. This is actually, let's see, a little over 1 inch, so the actual piece should end up being about a centimeter. So actually this will end up being, this is half an inch, so it's going to be half a centimeter. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be about that big. The little hearts, and I think that would be really cute. I kind of messed up on a freehand bow I was trying to do. But I'm just going to go watch something and color these, and then I will come out with a end result at the end of this video after I bake them. So after you color, you just need to cut them out, and that's gonna be quite fun with all these designs. So I finished baking them, and these are the results. I'm gonna show you guys by category of how they all came out, and I'm also gonna compare it to the original size. So everything did come out a lot more usable than I thought it was, and the reason why I use the word usable is because the little hearts that I made, I told you guys this come out to 1/2 a centimeter, and I thought that was going to be useless, but I decided to do it anyways because it was just tiny bits of trash or scraps left over that wasn't very useful for anything else. So I decided to experiment with it, and they came out like super tiny and cute, and I think it would like work very well with Project Life cards or any type of layout, so you guys can still keep little tiny scraps and still make something from it, as long as the original size of the image is at least 1 centimeter. So on here I have some plus signs or X's. There's only one big black X, and then 2 blue ones and a red one. And I don't remember I told you guys, but this is from a half sheet of Shrinky Dink paper and some scraps, and it came out to this much. So those are the plus signs. They have 2 ampersands, a black one and a red one, a bow, a pink one, and then 2 bows from scraps, these chevrons in black, blue, and red, a whole bunch of these little arrow pointy things in multiple colors, 3 stars in black, blue, and red, and a cloud in this one. Most of the time I like to use the shiny side on layouts because the glue sticks better onto the matte side, but the cloud looks so cool on the matte side. It looks more realistic, so I might use the matte side instead. Then here are some more from scraps, the hearts and the bobby pins, and I also like the hearts on the matte side because you actually can see the outline compared to one that is not. And then here is an example of the word. I decided to make an example of a word if you did not flip it. So here's the matte side where I just wrote it straight onto the Shrinky Dink paper, but when you flip it over, it's backwards. But you can always glue it this way, but I prefer having the shiny side up most of the time, and that's what happens. And yeah, those are all the Shrinky Dinks I made. I also want to do a comparison of like color pencil and Sharpie. So here's what a color pencil ampersand looks like, and here's what the Sharpie, also in red. I think I went over the ampersand in Sharpie in the end, so there's streaks at the back. Maybe I should find. So I actually like using Sharpie better because when you color images, it's a lot quicker. You don't have to apply a lot of force, and I just think the images came out a lot better. But the red color pencil actually came out a lot better than the Sharpie because it's a lot darker and it just didn't look as pretty. But that's probably my Sharpie's fault because it was kind of all infected at the tip where it's all black. This one was made out of color pencil. As you can see, it's kind of flaky at the back. And a Sharpie piece is this blue one where the color is all uniform on both sides. Like the back does not look too nasty, but this one, it feels like if I rub my finger over it, the color would come off onto my fingers. Also, if you leave a piece clear, I decided to bring out my Shrinky Dink paper so I can show you guys the brand I use. It literally just says Shrinky Dinks. I was showing it to my mom earlier because she was very interested into what I was baking inside our oven. And it's the Frosted Rough and Ready one by Shrinky Dinks. This one, if you leave it clear, it comes out this weird white frosty looking image. So now I'm going to show you guys the original image. So here's what the original looked like that I used to draw onto the paper. So here's the original X, the original ampersand, and the original bow, the cloud, I can find any more. The smaller X, this arrow, a star. I didn't actually end up using all of them because I repeated the X too much because I wanted it a lot more of those, so it ended up being like that. Is that all I used? Nope. There you go. So here's the plus or X sign, the cloud, the bow, the heart, the ampersand, the star, and the 2 chevron and the arrow, and then the tiny X. So I hope you guys like this video, and rate, comment, subscribe. Bye!